Hi everyone, welcome back to Money with Kazeem. Thank you so much for joining me back here today. In today's video, I know I haven't shown or share with you my portfolio in over 8 months now. It feels like it's been quite a while. 2025 has been quite a busy year for me, and I'm sure it has been for a lot of you guys as well. To some of you new listeners and people sharing my YouTube channel, thank you so much for joining me. Um, I'm excited to continue to do amazing documentation of my wealth building journey. As some of you who have been a long time viewers and listeners of my YouTube channel might know, I've been steadily documenting my Wealthsimple portfolio um, from, I want to say maybe 2022 was maybe when I started kind of like documenting that on this YouTube channel. And over the course of that time frame, you would have seen me go from uh, a portfolio of over 100 and something $1,000 to taking a huge chunk of it to build a solid down payment for my condo, and now to rebuilding it back into what I would call a sustainable level. That's been my goal over the last I want to say 8 or so months that I've been not documenting or working on this YouTube channel. It's just been steadily working on building my portfolio again and life, right? That's basically a bit of a catch up on what's been happening in my life. I'd love to hear down in the comment section below what have you guys been up to in 2025. I'm sure you guys have all been doing some incredible things. But in today's video, I wanted to share with you sort of what's been happening in my Wealthsimple portfolio over the last 8 months. As I said earlier, there's been significant growth in some sense and some differences in other area. So let's just get straight to it. As you can see, it looks like I'm actually in my TFSA right now. I don't know why. As you can see right here, it shows that my portfolio is currently sitting at 63,445.31. Again, some of you who have been a long time listener, you would have seen this portfolio last time when I showed it to you. It was currently sitting at maybe around $49,000 is what I recall. Looking back at the channel was what it was sitting at. So it means that within that short period of time, I've really grown this portfolio over $10,000, right? Like within that time frame. It hasn't been it hasn't been much of my efforts, to be honest. It's been the fact that the stock market has been doing so well over the last couple of months. I've seen incredible growth within the stock market, and that's been significantly helpful in boosting and building my wealth. So let's just take a look at the first account. You'll see if you look at my checking account, it's currently sitting at $11,100. And as you may know, if you've been a long time listener, the goal of this account is just to have a healthy um, amount in here so that for day-to-day for day-to-day management of my finances. So let's go into it and see what's actually sitting in here. You'll see that the first account here says grocery money. That's just everyday groceries for month-to-month basis. On a month-to-month basis, I like to have about $500 in here. This month I have a little bit more because there was a bit of a leftover from last month in this account. So that's why it's a little bit higher than it typically is. In my farm money account, you'll see that this one's currently sitting at $2,000. That's because there's a huge chunk of this money that's sitting in here right now that's going to be used over the next couple of months to make some significant purchases for the house. So that's why there's a bit of a huge balance in here right now. My 1 month emergency savings is currently sitting at 2,108.17. That feels to me like a bit of a healthy balance to have in here. It's not too overly much to have in a savings account. And it's a decent amount. A huge chunk of it, about 1,000, I want to say 1,700, is sitting in my TFSA. That's part of this 1 month emergency savings. So what I like to do, as I've said in my previous video, is to take a huge chunk of it and invest that part, and then have a little bit of it in here, so that I'm not fully investing the entire thing in the stock market. So that is what's happening with that. My paycheck. This is usually where my monthly paycheck comes into. Every month, 2 weeks is when I get paid, but every time I get paid, that money is automatically deposited into here, and that's where all the outflow comes from. So this is where I basically take money out and give it to all the different accounts that have been set up. My bill payment account is currently sitting at 9,002. I mean 902. I wish it was sitting at 9,002. That would be a bit of a healthy balance to have in there. But at the moment, it's currently sitting at 902.62. I feel like that's a relatively healthy amount to have in there, for mortgages, phone bills, that kind of stuff. That's what that money is for. That's why there's money in here. So that is my bill payment account. My condo repair, again, this money is sitting in here in case there's anything that needs to be repaired for the condo. What are some of the things, like pipe, water leakages, that kind of stuff? Repairing small cracks, things like that. Comes up, you need a little money. That's where that would come from. Property tax, the biggest evil there is the fact that the governments have got to get their own share as well. Every month you have to leave a little bit out in here to ensure that at the end of the year, when the payment comes due, you have money there to be able to pay for it. That's what money is for, is to be able to cover the cost of property tax at the end of the year. And the next thing in here is my emergency grocery. I know some of you guys in my last video commented that I have a bit of a healthy balance in here for grocery payments, or for grocery on a month-to-month basis. Again, I think in that video I made reference to the fact that I do have some health issues that requires that I have access to certain dietary needs, which is very expensive. And as we all know, the cost of groceries in this country has been astronomical in recent times. So I just want to make sure that, I'm doing what's right for my body, and I'm eating the kind of food that I love to eat. In addition to that, I think one of the things that we often miss when we think about investing is that investing doesn't necessarily have to mean that, you're not taking good care of yourself, or you're not eating the kind of food that you want. It just means making sure that you have allocated the money to be able to ensure that you're able to do the kind of things that you'd like to do, right? That you're not, you know, you're not taking care of yourself, right? In that sense. So essentially that's what that money is for, is to make sure that there's healthy balance in there if I need to buy groceries. So that's basically what is sitting in my checking accounts as of October 2025. So let's go into my TFSA account. You'll see that right now my TFSA is currently sitting at 41,846.48. I feel like that's a fairly healthy balance, and the growth that this account have seen over the last 1 year is quite incredible. I feel like this account has grown significantly. Like last time when I was showing you my portfolio, my entire portfolio was sitting at around 41,000, and just in this account I have $41,000 in there. So that's a very, very good accomplishment that I'm really quite proud of, is that I've been able to begin the process of building the foundation for this CFSA to grow and take advantage of what's happening in the stock market. The first thing that you would see is my cash ETF account. As you can see, this ETF is high interest savings ETF, which means that it doesn't behave like any of the other major investment ETFs. Like, as you'll see later on, things like equity based ETFs, like I like to hold, like XEQT. This is just mainly invested in, or not really invested, kept in a savings, high yield savings account that produce dividend on a month-to-month basis. You'll see um, as you look through the different ups and downs, is usually when the dividends are paid. That's where there's a dip, and then it goes back up closer to the time when the dividend is about to be withdrawn. So that's kind of what's happening in that. And the reason why I like to have um, $10,000 in here is for my housing emergency if there was ever a point. For example, I know one of the things that my condo board is considering right now is replacing all the windows in a condo building, right? And that is the condo unit owner's responsibility to be able to pay for that. And as the conversation has been going so far, it's around the fact that my share of that would be around $10,000, right? So that's a cost that I can look forward to in the next couple of years, is having to pay for that. So that's why I like to have that money sitting in there and not invested in the market. If the market were to crash and I don't have access to that, that would be that would not be a really good situation to be in. So again, I invest that into a high yield savings account. CSAV. CSAV is currently sitting at, again, similar to cash ETF. It's currently sitting at 3,879.06. You'll see that this one also produced dividends or distributions at the end of the month, which is then reinvested back into it on a month-to-month basis. That's what that is. Again, similar, HISA is another high interest savings ETF. This one is my emergency savings for covering all the other expenses other than food, housing. If again, God forbid, I were to lose my job or not have income coming in for some time, I know that I'll be safe and have a healthy amount in here to be able to cover the cost of that. So that's why I have 11,600 here. Again, that also produce distributions at the end of each month, which is then reinvested back into it. PLZ the UN. This is a REIT, you'll see. Plaza REIT. What REITs are usually is real estate investment corporations. So they invest in real estate. It could be like a condo, or in this case, like buying small offices and retail establishments and then renting it out to companies like Loblaws. What is it called? Shoppers, all of those big companies. Like they rent to them, and then at the end of the month, the money and rent that they get from those companies, they redistribute it back to people like myself who own a share in the REITs. So that's why there's a bit of uh, an ops right now. It's currently sitting at 52.35. It's actually down today, looks like. But typically it's been doing very, very well. Just given the fact that I started investing into it maybe like a couple of months ago. It's not been something I've held for a very long time. So yeah, that is what that is. Now we're going to the bread and butter of my ETFs, which is VEQT. VEQT is Vanguard Equity ETFs, which is basically Vanguard's version of XEQT. All equity ETFs are usually like a bunch of stocks invested in an ETF in an ETF, and then a bunch of stock invested in an ETF, and then the distributions and the growth that tracks the ETFs over the last however long the ETF has been in existence is then the gain that the investors like myself would be realizing here. If you look at the balance, what this has generated for the last, I want to say, 2 years that I've been investing this, it's only grown about 17%, which is a really, really decent return to be able to have for this. I'm really quite happy with how well this has grown. Again, this one is my vacation money. So every time I contribute $100 into this one on a month-to-month basis, to continue to grow it. So that's why that is there. QT. XQT is again similar to VQT, is just iShares All Equity ETF. So they also track um, global markets such as US markets, national markets, emerging markets. And over time, you'll see that it's currently sitting at 4,889. It's up about 541, which is a very, again, healthy return to have been seeing on here. So this is a chunk of my long-term emergency savings, right? So while some people like to invest their entire emergency savings and save it in like CDI or buy, what is it called? Like this products that people buy all the time. GIC, that's the word I'm looking for. I think it makes sense to buy things like cash ETF and then take a little bit of that emergency savings and invest that into the stock market. This is an advice for myself. Again, this is not something that I recommend everyone do. If you're not comfortable with taking on a bit of risk, again, none of this is an advice to anyone. I'm just showing you what I do. So I always believe that, in order to be able to generate the kind of returns that I'm looking for, that I only want to save a portion of my emergency savings that I could realistically need at that single time, and then the rest should be invested. So that's why this is in the stock market. Xgrow, this one's currently sitting at 1,144.52. Again, this is the other bit of my emergency grocery fund. There's a certain portion of it is invested and it's up around $140. So which is I think a very healthy return on this. ZEQT. ZEQT is the other portion of my 1 month emergency savings that I was talking about earlier. And this one's currently sitting at 1,825.62. It's up around $248, which is very good. Very good return on this portion. Yeah. I continue to contribute to uh, this one. One is my Xgrow, Zgrow, sorry, Zgrow account, which is my long-term emergency fund. This one's currently sitting at 3,604.53, 33 of which is gain. I think this one's also a very healthy return to have seen on this account as well. But yeah, overall, you can see my portfolio has been doing very well. The market overall has been doing fairly well, right? So the kind of return that I've been able to see this year is just amazing. So let's look at how this within last month, this portfolio is up over 740 something dollars. Within the last 3 months, it's up 1,598. Within the last year, it's up $2,000. Right? Like within this year, this entire portfolio is up almost $2,000. Right? That's money that I haven't contributed to here, right? So it just goes to show you the importance of investing and putting money away for future purposes and doing what you need to do. And that doesn't even include like things like distributions and dividends. This is just pure capital gains.